Hey everybody, Who's Your Jedi here with another review for you. This time I'm talking episode 7 of season 4 of Arrow called Brotherhood. And this is another really solid episode of this series. Now, the storytelling stuff was, I think, a little bit thin. There's definitely some really great character moments and a lot of really awesome fight sequences. If you didn't know, this was actually the episode was directed by the show's fight choreographer. In fact, I believe I saw on Twitter that it was the first time of him directing a TV show ever, and solid work, man. This was a pretty good episode. I mean, I wasn't really super paying attention to the directing of it all, but it's hard to deny this episode boasted some of Arrow's deservedly well respected fight sequences and top notch. So let's just kind of get right into things. Let's kind of start small and work our way up. So Ray continues to be kind of reluctant to go back to his old life and running Palmer Tech and whatnot. And this is all, of course, because Legends of Tomorrow. But I do like how he kind of invokes Tom Sawyer there. I mean, one, just because it's such a classical literary reference, and actually, I was doing some work involving the story of Tom Sawyer last month as part of my job, so I kind of had the chance to brush up on the story a little bit. So that was oddly pleasing to hear something like that referenced recently. Um, but yeah, it was definitely nice to see the Atom kind of pop up and go out there and kick some butt. I think Ray should maybe do a little bit better job of hiding his face in that thing. But I guess they don't want to go too Iron Man with that thing because, well, that's kind of what the Atom is. He's basically kind of, at this point, sort of a DC's Iron Man. And if you really want to give, in the comics, somebody who fits that role better, that's really kind of Steele's thing. John Henry Irons is Steele, his real name, if you're not familiar with the character, which is, if you're not familiar with the character, is disappointing because Steele's a very cool character. I like him a lot. Although I'm not exactly super up on what he's been up to lately. I'm kind of like more familiar with him from back in the 90s. But anywho, so let's see. Nothing really to say. We didn't really have I mean, Curtis, I think, was referenced in this episode, but we didn't see him, so nothing to really say there. Let's see, what else? We got a really surprising but nice moment between Laurel and Dig this episode where they're talking about, having a sibling come back from the dead and dealing with all of that, and her just kind of like, hey, look, I know this is a really weird situation, but if you want to talk to somebody, I'm here. And we don't really get to see a whole lot between Laurel and Dig, especially not on a personal level. Usually it's just like both of them are pissed off at Oliver, and that's kind of about as far as it goes. But this was very genuine, and I kind of would like to see them bouncing off of each other a little bit more. And holy crap, Dig remembers that his sister-in-law Carly and his nephew exist. I mean, seriously, when was the last time these two were referenced? I mean, oh, it's been a damn long time. So yeah, that was definitely cool, and I think I was even complaining about this just a couple of episodes ago. So, okay, writers, a little bit. I kind of think you sort of dropped the ball on that because Carly and his nephew were kind of some nice things that Dig had going on that didn't really have anything to do with Oliver. It was kind of some stuff that was really just about him. I kind of missed that old Big Belly Burger set. That was, okay, but que sera, sera. Sorry if I'm a little distracted. There's a cat meowing its head off right outside my window. I can hear it. You guys probably can't, but I can. I might actually have to go out there and make sure it's not hurt once I finish this video because I just, I love cats. I love cats so much. But my building doesn't allow pets. Sucks. Okay. So let's see. Nothing super huge to say about what was going on with Felicity. Just nice stuff with her and Oliver, and her and Ray, and just Felicity being Felicity. Good stuff, but nothing that really super stands out in my mind. Now, at the end of the day, though, this is really a Diggle episode. And, that psychology of his mind. It's like, my brother does not deserve a second chance. I mean, that's pretty damn harsh. Now, it's true. Sometimes your family can do things to you, screw you over in such, treat you so badly, screw you over in such ways that it's only reasonable to just sort of have to cut them out of your life. I mean, one of my friends, her parents have, in the last year, been major, major assholes to her, and she's just basically kind of had to shut her and pretty much everybody in her family out of her life, just because they've really been dicks. And it's not something she wanted to do, but she had to. But here, and I like how the characters like Laurel and Oliver are like, Dig, your brother is basically back from the dead, and you don't know for sure that he's guilty of this stuff. And Diggle's all just like, nope, nope, I don't care. I can tell he's guilty. I'm not even going to give him a chance. I'm not going to consider the possibility that this might not be true. Dig was a guy, and I love that scene where he just sort of like talks about like how he would toy with the idea of his brother being alive again. And Dig's idea there was that he was really more wanting the image of his brother in his mind back. Who he thought he was, some sort of idealized version. I mean, after all, when people die, we generally tend to be a little bit more forgiving of their flaws as people, to kind of focus more on the good, because, well, speaking ill of the dead is considered poor form. But here, this situation that his brother really might not have been the person that he thought he was. Dig would really, in a lot of ways, have a dead brother that he could pine over. Well, okay, I guess pine over might not be the best term. But that he thought that was a good person than a live brother who might be a bad person. And what an amazing moral conundrum to find yourself in. And you see, that's what's one of the great things about comic book storytelling, is you can do stuff like this and it works because you can get away with bringing people back from the dead, just to some degree. But anyway, I like how this all kind of comes together with him basically the team saying like, hey, we're going to go rescue your brother, and Diggle's just saying like, no, and the team just says, we're going to do this whether you like it or not, bye. And again, this is so reminiscent. I mean, what an ironic situation. Normally it was the team that's saying, Oliver, you're a dumbass, we're going to go do something you don't want to do even though you said you don't want us to do it. Here, Oliver's leading the charge. Oliver is the one that's leading the charge on give your brother a shot. And it all pays off so beautifully when Diggle said, my brother needed me, the green one. So here it is. Unquestionable that Oliver and Dig are back where they were. They were able to put that really terrible situation from the end of last season behind them, and they're back. They are once again just true brothers. And Roy would have gotten that too if he'd been there. And man, I can't wait I really hope we can see Colton Hayes again soon. That would be very interesting, especially the things that are going on with Thea, how he would react to all of that. And I'm sure that idea has not escaped the writer's minds, I should say. But yeah, that was awesome. And then they do grab a hold of Andy and lock him up in the Arrow Cave with no access to a toilet. We're not going to dwell on that. And Dig is just yelling at, just like trying to get out, and he just goes like, yeah, it's true. Man, what a way to rain on Dig's parade. He was so happy. He had come to accept it. And then there's this, that yeah, all of his worst fears about his brother are true. And it's not even clear if death was faked, or if some of Damien Dark's screwy mumbo jumbo is going on. Now it's heavily implied, yeah, that's what's happened, especially given the whole DNA decay thing, and Damien Dark's comments about they have no idea how right you are in regards to these guys being called ghosts, which I think maybe maybe we can kind of take that as some sort of a hint as to exactly where his power comes from. Now, nothing's really jumping out in my mind at the moment, but I do think that might have been a hint as to the source of Damien Dark's power. Speaking of which, how big of a surprise was it that when his power didn't work on Thea and it actually seemed to hurt him? Okay, now we found a chink in this guy's armor. I mean, besides the fact that he's super, super arrogant. So, oh, and he apparently watched the movie Brave at some point. When he called Thea Meridia, I was like, what? What is he talking about there? I've never watched Brave. Okay, I haven't even had the chance to sit down and watch Big Hero 6, which I really want to because it looks pretty cool. But yeah, so yeah. Speaking of Damien Dark, why haven't they asked Malcolm for information about Damien Dark? I mean, he's the head of the freaking League of Assassins. If anybody's going to have some information, it's him. Now, granted, it's understandable why they don't want to deal with Malcolm, but hey, Malcolm, do you have any information on this person who you yourself would probably like to see dead and is, running around in the city where your daughter lives? I mean, geez, small price to pay, huh? Of course, we can't let Malcolm's appearance in this episode go unmentioned, and of course, he shows up to once again be a manipulative asshole. And I like how Thea basically just tells him to shove off on the kill the pedophile thing, but is like, okay, help me with this whole magic aspect. And again, you kind of have to wonder, why haven't they thought of this before? All right. Okay. And heck, if Malcolm didn't want to say anything, then you have to imagine that Nyssa would probably have some information. I mean, Damien Dark was a serious enemy of her father, and the League of Assassins strike me as the sort of guys who would probably keep very good records of stuff like this. Now, again, it's understandable why Team Arrow would not want to get in bed with the League of Assassins again. I mean, one of the great moments of this episode was Diggs saying, like, Oliver, are you seriously thinking about getting in bed with Damien Dark? Remember what happened when last time you tried to infiltrate an evil organization from the inside? And Oliver actually listens to him. And that leads to that very nice moment at the end where he's basically saying, hey, I'm going to save this city. I'm going to do it right here in public. And oh yeah, screw you, Damien Dark. So yeah, that was cool. That was cool. And well deserved. Oliver needed a, hey, dumbass, haven't you learned anything moment? And we are, of course, going to have to talk about the flashbacks. And it's interesting that brothers come up again, are a big theme in this episode. Oliver and Diggle and Andy. And here we have, I forget the lady, the woman and her brother. And Oliver does not disclose the fact that, you kind of killed your brother. Now Conklin gets what's coming to him for lying to Baron Ritter. And once again, we get to see that Ritter is for real when it comes to that magic thing. Hopefully he wasn't planning on using that map Oliver stole anytime soon. Oh yeah, and speaking of really stupid, obvious things, how in the name of God, after this episode, does Damien Dark not know that Quentin is working with Team Arrow? I mean, first of all, Quentin comes in there and starts asking specific questions about Andy. Now Andy is the one member of the Ghost who was obviously grabbed by the Team Arrow, and oh yeah, part of this all happened because of a piece of paper with the dock number that Damien Dark lets sitting blatantly, obviously on his desk at a time when he knows Quentin Lance was in there. I swear, guys, if Quentin Lance is not the one who's ended up dead at the end of the season, I am going to be amazed. Also, because it makes sense from a storytelling perspective. It doesn't really seem like there's a huge number of places where things could go with Quentin as a character. Plus, I mean, Tommy dies, kill her dad, already killed her sister. I mean, that's like, wow, everybody in Laurel that Laurel really cares about tends to die, or she thinks they died and then they come back. It's just like, man, it sucks to be Laurel. So yeah, and that I think is kind of what's coming down the pipe. Am I forgetting anything? Nope. I think I've covered everything I've had to say. So I've been rambling for 15 minutes, so that seems like a good place to stop. As always, folks, please comment, rate, and subscribe. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Hoosier Jedi. So until next time, take care and have a good one.